I'm a hobbyist woodworker who woke up last spring and decided I would get all my vegetables from my backyard. It went so well that I had to use my woodworking skills to build extra raised beds and trellises for climbing vegetables. I began to research soil techniques that ultimately allowed me to create all kinds of dinners just by walking into my backyard and seeing what was available. And then winter came along, and I realized it didn't have to end, that there were plants I could grow during cold weather. And then I learned there were things I could do to just get around the cold weather. If you've been following this channel, you know I'm always trying things. So I thought I would give you an update on my latest efforts for the winter and coming spring. I don't know about you, but December 21st is one of my favorite days of the year, because then the days begin to get longer as we march towards spring. First off, I've fallen in love with kale. The starts I planted last spring have continued to grow through the cold months, and I like them so much I planted more from seeds. Only this time, I decided to go with Red Russians to try a different variety. And as long as I was at it, I planted sweet peas along with them to fix the soil while I was getting things to eat. Both have responded quite well, and now I have kale and sweet peas whenever I want. Next, the mini greenhouse covers have done their job magnificently. They saved the collards from frostbite as they continue to grow from last season, allowed the peppers, both pruned and unpruned, to thrive, and gave the cabbage and kohlrabi a chance to get started. I am more than pleased, even if I did have to place something on top of them during a rainstorm with really heavy winds. The 2 mil plastic held up to pooling water and then snapped back into shape. Pretty good indeed. Oh yes, remember the garlic I planted? It has really taken off, so I should have plenty by late spring. I also planted plenty of sweet peas as soil fixers for the beds I plan to use for spring and summer plants. This is a repeat of what I did last year with companion planting of legumes and basil to help other plants against pests and provide soil nutrition. Any peas I get is just a bonus. And then my report on the terrarium plant starts. I got the idea of creating a self-contained environment to start corn and cucumbers just to see if it could be done. Both have responded well to the containers. I've extended the containers by taping 2 together to allow the plants to get pretty large inside before transplanting them. I do plan to direct seed both the corn and cucumbers as succession plants and compare the 2 to see if growing like this is effective. Time will tell. And now on to plans for the future. I've mentioned before that a good bit of gardening is anticipating the next growing season. So I've done a hand-drawn layout of what and how I plan to grow in the garden this spring. I spent most of the fall preparing the soil in anticipation of another very hot summer. This is important because I want to have as much as possible up and growing before the super hot weather and bugs set in. That said, the plan is to move the tomatoes to the beds against the fence, where they will get full sun for most of the day and then be shaded by the fence in the hot afternoon. The same for the blueberries that, because of their soil requirements, will have their own bed with the hope that a little afternoon shade will help to keep them hydrated. Most of the corn will be planted in the beds to the south, and if they get tall enough, will provide a little shade for the long beds. The crosses in the drawings are hanging planters I will need to build to plant flowers in spots other than the large circles that are containers. Almost every bed will have some form of legumes to fix soil as the growing season continues. A major next step is to complete leaf harvesting and storing them around a tree in the backyard to use later for mulch. I was lucky a few days ago to find these bags of leaves that had been set out for the landfill. A good find that I can add to the pile. I have plenty of seeds such as blanket flowers, marigolds, and sunflowers that I collected from last season, so there will be plenty of flowers to attract pollinators. I've run into a good number of Italian recipes for sage. It is a wonderful herb with a good number of medicinal qualities that also generates flowers, so I'll probably build another bed for that as well. Anything that attracts bees and repels pests is a super plant in my book. All in all, I have my work cut out for me. But probably like you, I'm definitely looking forward to the freedom of collecting food from my backyard. So now's the time to start laying out your plans because spring will be here in no time. And always remember, the dream is yours. Live your dream. See you next time.